Guys, this is irrefutable evidence. I'm just trying to break the news to you that Mike Sommerfeld is out of the Olympia. And so if he is allowed to compete, you watch him weigh in. Coach Greg, in today's video, breaking news at the Mr. Olympia. The frontrunner, the favorite, Mike Sommerfeld is out of the Olympia. And why, may be you asking? Well, it's come to fruition with proof, not maybe, not I think, not speculation, but that Mike Sommerfeld is not, in fact, over 5 feet 9 inches tall. I mean, wasn't it obvious? I mean, anyone that's seen him in person was thinking there's no way this guy is over 5 feet 9 inches. But we not only have proof of him hiding in below 5 foot 9, but we also have himself verbally stating his height, and it's far below 5 foot 9. And so you might be thinking, well, how does that make any difference? Well, for every inch of height, you get a certain amount of extra pounds. And so if he's, for example, 5 foot 9 or less, he can only weigh 204 pounds. But if he's over 5 foot 9, say 5 foot 9 and a quarter, 0.1, whatever, he can weigh 212. And so imagine being given an 8-pound muscle advantage over all of your other competitors. Imagine how unfair that is for another favorite, Ramon Dino, to have to go against Mike Sommerfeld with an 8-pound muscle disadvantage. 8 pounds when you're shredded, peeled, is a huge difference. It allows his muscles to have that extra fullness, that extra size, and gives him the perfect opportunity to win year after year. You wanted to see the proof? Are you ready? Let's first listen to the man himself, Mike Sommerfeld. Do you think that he's lying about his height? Do you think that for some reason he's saying he's shorter than he really is in order to what? To give him a disadvantage? And so, if anything, you're going to say you're taller because the taller you are, the more you're allowed to weigh. Let's hear how tall he is himself.
Was darf ich denn wiegen in der Klassik? 88 Kilo oder so, ne? Also offiziell 1,73, aber eigentlich 1,70.
Okay. He literally says, officially, I'm heighted in 173 centimeters tall, but I'm actually only 170. Don't ask me how I did it, but I've heighted in officially at 173, but I'm really 170. I'm 168 centimeters tall, and so he's about an inch taller than me, which puts him at about 5 foot 7. Now, officially, he's heighted in at 173. I don't care about what he says he is, 170. Clearly, that's below 175.4 centimeters, which is what he needs to be in order to be allowed to weigh 212. He needs to be 175.4 or more. His official height is 173. That's a full inch below that height. And so it's even possible that he isn't even 5 foot 8. And so if he isn't at least above 5 foot 8, he couldn't even weigh over 200. Notice he's smiling. I'm only 170 centimeters tall, but nudge, nudge, I managed to sneak in at 173. Perhaps it's the hair gelled up. I don't know. Perhaps he does some stretches. Perhaps he does the inversion table. Whatever. I don't care, but he somehow managed to height in 173 centimeters tall, which is about 1 inch under what he needs. And so even at his best, still not tall enough. But what about at the Olympia? Did he not get second place last year? Remember, one judge had him beating Sebum. And I'm thinking, how is this possible? How could a guy have that much muscle? I've seen him. I looked at his physique. I said, there's no way this guy is over 5 foot 9. I don't know how he did it, but let us see, watch the footage of them literally hiding him in.
Video evidence proof that he is not above 5 foot 9. This is Mike at the 2024 weigh-ins where he weighed in at 212 pounds and they measured him at 5 foot 9 and a quarter. Now, I'm guessing you probably did not see what just happened. So I will slow it down for you. Very, very easy to miss, but when you take a look closer, it becomes obvious. They put it down onto his head. Then they readjust. Then they readjust again and make sure that he's above 5 foot 9.
Hi. 5'9.25".
I have heighted in athletes for years. Remember, I used to be a judge. I've also heighted in people, and it's very easy to cheat. Now, when you're heighting people in with this machine, oftentimes the plastic, it points down. It angles like this. Upon heighting someone in, if it's at an angle, the height is not going to line up with the instrument. And so when you place the instrument down, you have to go like this. If it's simply touching the top of your hairstyle up here, it's not accurate. You need to press this thing down and hold it so that it's level with the body and you read the number. If it's at this angle, it is easily going to add an inch. Now, when an athlete has combed up hair full of gel and so on, especially for females, it's more difficult to height them in. And so you need to press down on their hair to ensure that the hair, well, it shouldn't count as part of your height. When you go to the doctor, you can't go in with spiked hair and say, I'm 6 feet tall. It doesn't work like that. And so upon initial measurement, they had the height down, and I don't think they had fully locked it in. Right away, immediately, he's 5'8.9", we'll call it. You can clearly see the mark, 5'9". He is below that. Now, if it were a little bit higher, 5'9", that still counts as 5'9" or less. 5'9" does not jump you into the next height division. 5'9" puts you into the lower division. You have to be above 5'9". And so they carefully adjust his height to be 5'9.25" to ensure that he's above 5'9". If he were 5'9", he would have had to lose 8 pounds of muscle. And so imagine being a Brazilian fan, a fan of bodybuilding, a fan of Ramon Dino, and knowing that his main opponent, his competition, has 8 bonus added pounds of muscle. It's not fair. It isn't right. And the Olympia, in allowing this, is losing credibility. I mean, what's worse? The Olympia, the height gate, or Mike Israetel's PhD? I mean, you can see that that gray bar is not placed down. It's angled up. And notice the hairstyle. Can you just spike your hair up? I mean, when they put it on Urs, you all know Urs Kalasinski, did they not press it down onto his spiked up hair? He went in with spiky hair. He's not going to measure in and say he's 6'2" and can weigh 260 pounds. Mike Sommerfeld is going to do whatever he can to add that extra inch to get those extra pounds. But it's up to the person measuring them to enforce the rules. And so athletes, of course, are going to cut corners. There are guys that if they height in 1/4 of an inch taller, they can add 8 to 10 pounds of muscle. 1/4 inch, perhaps even 1/8 of an inch. And we all know we're taller when we first wake up in the morning than when we go to bed at night. And so many of the athletes are going to be laying down, flattening out, going on inversion tables, stretching out their bodies, stretching up their neck in order to get every 1/4 inch out of their heights. And so my opinion, this is ridiculous. And when I was helping the IFBB initially with the height weight categories, I said we need to have heights for every 1/2 of an inch. It's not enough to just do it every inch, because what if somebody's just barely 1/8 of an inch away from that? They're losing 8 pounds when really they should only lose 2 or 4. I mean, after all, if you're 5'8.5", should you not be allowed to weigh more than somebody who's 5'8"? 5'8.75", should they not be allowed to weigh more than someone who's 5'8"? And so by arbitrarily having these ridiculous height and weight categories, you're limiting certain people more than others. And so in my opinion, it isn't fair. Not only that, that height bar in the back, I've used this. Remember, I'm a professional. I used to judge. I used to weigh people in. That bar, it's straight. Okay, the plastic, it's supposed to be against a wall. If you're going to height someone in and you have this machine and it's set up like this, this needs to be straight. We're trying to measure somebody's height. Put it on their heads like that. This needs to be straight. Now, imagine if the person wants to cheat their height. Do you know what they would tell the person to do? And trust me, I've heighted people in and I know their secrets. They should have Coach Greg in charge of heighting everyone. Not only that, I should be a judge. They need me, clearly. And so if you want to cheat someone's height, you bend the bar forward. You see this angle right here? When I bend the bar forward, what does that do to this? It lowers it. And can you see, if you drew a straight line, it would be across like that. And so it's added an inch. That is how easy it is to fool them. And so if I were doing the height ins, he wouldn't make the height class because I know what I'm doing. Perhaps they didn't pass physics or mathematics in high school. If you lean this bar forward far enough, you could add as many inches as you want. And so is that fair? Why are we allowing people to cheat? I mean, it's one thing they don't do any drug testing, so hey, whatever. Allow them to take what they want. But to deliberately allow some athletes to be allowed to weigh more than others, how is that fair? And so do you not feel for Ramon, a man who's been trying to earn the title for years, perhaps the most favorite of anyone, but he has zero chance if Mike Sommerfeld's competing because Mike has 8 pounds more muscle. Now, if Mike loses 8 pounds of muscle, I think Ramon can beat him. But how is this fair? This is not placed hard enough on his hair. Remember, if you comb your hair up and you just touch the tip of it, that is not fair. And if it's angled forward, which it is, also not fair. Guys, this is irrefutable evidence. This is proof. And so I'm just trying to break the news to you that Mike Sommerfeld is out of the Olympia. And so if he is allowed to compete, you watch him weigh in. Make sure his heels are on that floor. He's standing as tall as he likes, but that bar has to be vertical and it has to be planted firmly on his head, not touching the top of his hair. That is not how tall a person is. Touching his literal head.
Mike Sommerfeld has been cheating this whole time in bodybuilding. Now everyone is talking about Mike Sommerfeld being measured poorly at the Mr. Olympia in 2024.
I mean, you see how that bar is moving like this. It's supposed to be straight and it leans forward. Guys, it's cheating.
Now, the measurement style is all the same for all the competitors. They don't push the tool down on their head. They basically pop it up and down and they flatten their hair out just a bit. And here are clear examples. This happened to Chris Bumstead and Uris, but one year Chris had a height of 6'1.5" and another he was 6'2".
And so you're seeing this, right? They're giving the athletes extra inches in height. Perhaps they're more popular. Perhaps they're the highest ranking competitors and making sure that they have those extra inches. Chris Bumstead, when he first began competing, he used to struggle to make weight. They had originally heighted him in at 6 feet and 3/4 of an inch. That is below 6'1", and so he had to lose additional pounds. And so his first several Mr. Olympias, he had to cut even more weight than later on in his years when they heighted him at 6'1.25". We see how they're hiding him. They're not pushing that down on his hair. They're very, very lenient. And so you have to make it fair for everyone. We want equality in the sport. We want it to be fair. We don't want favoritism. And trust me, Mike Sommerfeld does not need any advantages whatsoever. He's already got an amazing physique. And so seeing as he's 212 pounds, why not just compete in the 212? How bad do you think he would do? Do you not think he would place in the top 3? I believe the only man that could even beat him is Keon Pearson. And so Mike Sommerfeld should switch out of classic physique and be competing in the 212. That is the category he belongs in, and that is what he was made to do. He looks like a bodybuilder. He doesn't look like a classic physique competitor. People have been saying this for months. And why do you think that is? Because he has too much muscle for classic physique. And why does he have too much muscle for classic physique? Because he's illegally heighted in. Now, you can't blame this on Mike. It's not his responsibility to measure his own height in. He stands there, and if they allow him to add a half an inch, well, that's on the Olympia. And so in the words of Joey Swole, Olympia, you need to do better. Is Mike the only one? I don't think so. I think this is happening to several athletes. I think they're giving favoritism to certain athletes, allowing them to height in a little bit higher than they need to. They need to videotape everyone, make sure their feet are touching the ground, make sure that the measuring device is vertical, and place it firmly on their heads. Now, some athletes, they're literally going to shrink. When you dehydrate to this extent, some of these guys are losing 10 or 15 pounds of water, dehydration, and so on. What do you think that does to their height? And so if you're on the fence, you're exactly, say, 5'9.1", and you then dehydrate 15 pounds, you very well could be under 5'9", and that's on you. Remember, if you make the weight, you also have to make the height. And so if part of the competition is dehydrating your body, doing all this cardio, and you're getting shorter, then what are you to do? You're shorter, you have to lose even more weight. Having been weighed several times at the weigh-ins in general are way too loose. Nobody checks your feet or anything usually, so you could even hide something that elevates you under your feet. And let's not get started on how the hair is almost never pushed down, barely at all. If you have long hair, they should also push it completely down onto your head. Your hair is not part of your height, LOL. Now I see why he was keeping quiet on Jay Cutler podcast. Did you see that? Jay Cutler said, hey, what is your weight cap? He says, oh, it's a secret. And Jay Cutler's looking at him like, no, it's public knowledge. Everyone knows whatever your height is, there's a certain weight. He says, what do you weigh? What do you have to weigh in at? He says, 212. He says, okay, so you're just over 5'9". He knows he's not over 5'9". He literally on record has stated 173 centimeters tall. That's 5'8". But he says, really, I'm 5'7". But somehow I hide it in at 5'8". And so is he on his tippy toes? How is he suddenly hiding in at 176 centimeters tall when he says his official height is 173, but that he's really only 170? I mean, does this make sense? Have we all seen him training with Eric Janicki? Does he look about 3-4 inches shorter than Eric or significantly shorter? We've seen him with various other competitors. Does he not look closer to 5'7" than 5'9" or up? Let me know in the comments section what is going to happen when Mike Sommerfeld goes to the Olympia this year and heights in below 5'9", weighing 212 pounds, and is 8 pounds over the weight class. Should they tell him in advance, look, Mike, unfortunately, you have to weigh 204. You've got 1 week to lose 8 extra pounds. What exactly should happen? Do you all now think that Ramon Dino is the favorite? With Mike Sommerfeld unable to weigh 212 pounds, will Ramon Dino come out on top? Or do you think it's possible that the Olympia is simply going to try to brush this under the rug? This isn't just Mike Sommerfeld's fault. You can't put all the blame on him. If the powers that be allow him to do this, they say, hey, yo, Mike, we're not going to be too strict on you. We're going to point it under the top of your hair. You're good. Don't worry about it. Don't stress out. Come in peeled. We want you to be our star Olympian. You're going to carry the torch from Chris Bumstead. If you were Mike, are you not just going to play along? I mean, think about it. You can't hate on Mike Sommerfeld for doing this. It's not his responsibility to make sure that he's the correct height. That's the organization. And so, organization. You height the people in. You put their hair down properly, and if they don't make weight, they don't make weight. Personally, I think the Olympia would be way more exciting if several of the athletes didn't make the height. I mean, aren't there about 60 competitors in classic physique? Perhaps 5 of them don't make the height. That would be some drama. We're talking about somebody missed the weight class. Although it sucks for that person, we don't want to see it. But it's only fair to their competitors. I know that if you're competing and you get second place and you lose the Olympia because somebody was allowed to weigh more weight because they cheated on their height, well, that would be devastating. Speaking of devastating, I would be devastated if you did not give Turk Builder Max a try. You're going to get more gains, more growth than ever before. More energy, stamina, strength. And remember, we have proof. We've been vindicated. This is not the cyanosis plant from China. This is actual ajuga, confirmed from several labs. And so if you're interested, code Greg 15% off. And remember, if it doesn't exceed your expectations, there's a money back guarantee. And on top of that, a $20 gift card just for trying it out. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Let me know what you think in the comment section. This is going to be a doozy. And of course, if you're looking for coaching, you can contact me by clicking the link in the description. Blood work from AlgoRx, as well as Cialis, Tadalafil, Ozempic, GLPs, Tirzepatide, Enclomiphene. The list goes on and on. Check out AlgoRx, code Greg 10% off. Click the link in the description. Cookbook, circle diet book, training books, everything. Get to the website. And until next time, I am out.